So with no further ado, I'd like to have just a few minutes of opening remarks from the prestigious Mr. John Sidwick, Board Member Emeritus of the
Right. I'll stand up. Thank you. So, who's been to InfoComm before?
Oh yeah.
Who's been to InfoComm for more than 10 years? More than 20? Wow, that's amazing. 30? Oh. 40? No, there's been no 40, you'd be lying. So, I've been coming to InfoComm since, I think it was Philadelphia back in 95. So, was anybody in Philadelphia in 95? Oh, there you Frank. Stand up, Frank. Oh, you are. So, got to get it in quick. Got to get it in. So, what I would say is the industry has changed incredibly slowly over the last 30 years. It's been incremental. You know, I remember 230 ANSI lumen projectors going to 250 ANSI lumen, and we were high-fiving. I was working for Sharp at the time. I think we're in a whole different world now. We're in a completely different situation, driven by many different things. So there's things that we're seeing. So Jane and I, my co-owner of the business that we run, we work with some of the largest vendors on go-to-market strategy creation. So it's people like the Microsofts, a lot of the UC IT vendors playing in the AV space. And we also work on channel intelligence. And we speak to a ton of channel partners, so resellers, distributors, but also a lot of end users. So what are we hearing? So the things that we're hearing, number one, obviously, we have to talk about the A and the I word. You know, that's what everybody's talking about. But it's fundamental. The things that we are seeing that are happening in businesses around the creation of organizational intelligence is going to change the jobs that we all do. So organizational intelligence means a very horizontal layer of data across an organization. To get that, you need cognitive collaboration. So the meeting space suddenly becomes incredibly important. We're seeing so much focus on how AI in the meetings, it's not just the meeting space, it's where people meet, is achieved. Because without that, you're not feeding all the discussions, all the things that we do in business into an organization. So that's number one. How do you scale AI across every meeting space in an organization to give it a whole layer of intelligence? Microsoft, Google, Zoom, those guys are all over this. And how do they achieve that? From a end user perspective, takes me to the next point that everybody's talking about is security, data, compliance. How do you start to scale even more endpoints through an organization without the controls and obviously having the right sort of protocols around it to control, to make sure it's secure? We're in a transformational situation. Has anybody heard of Project Solara? 1, 2. So Project Solara from Microsoft just launched last week, means you're going to see a chip-to-cloud agentic environment where products are made to complete tasks in an organization. Think how that's going to change, where you're going to start to see a lanyard, which is an intelligent lanyard, that records your voice and does the transcripts for meetings wherever you are. And you control where the data is, you can control how that data is uploaded. Products will be developed that you guys will be using in your organizations to do a specific job in an agentic environment. That will absolutely change what AV and UC and IT mean. 100% change where we are. The third thing is, and I'm not saying this because the room we're in, a big focus. So we spoke to about 150 end users over the last 3 weeks. We surveyed them and we're also having conversations. The third thing was the biggest number one focus area, and these are a large AV user group globally. The number one focus is virtual management and control of every product in an organization. Every product. No products allowed not to be measured, not to be managed by a solution with an agentic AI overlay. The goal is that the deployment, the management, and the repairing and the sorting out of problems, all done by an agentic environment with no real people involved. And that's the number one focus area. So if you think of the so what happens to our industry? So we're hearing a lot about how our industry is having to change. We had a meeting with about 23 of the largest UC vendors today, and how do they change to support you as an end user group on the requirements you've got? So we're really super interested to hear what these guys say, because they're right at the cutting edge. But we know that I think in a year's time and 2 years' time, we'll see our industry, the industry that you're involved in, changing dramatically, actually beyond recognition. But it's incredibly exciting. I'm so glad I'm still working, so glad we still manage to work. But it is honestly guys, it's such an exciting time of change. We've had 30 years of iteration. We're going to have now, the industry is going to change in a matter of in multiple months, not multiple years. That could be 12 months, but it's going to be multiple months, not multiple years. We're all in it, so I think we're going to have a good time. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'll hand over to Kristin now, a real board member. I'm emeritus, evidently. That means I'm an old board member.
Hey everyone, good evening. Thank you for coming today. Really excited about this panel. So I'm going to jump right in and start talking about the future of the managed AV/UC estate. Kelly, we'll start with you. As AV/UC becomes part of broader digital workspace strategies, what does the next generation of managed AV/UC services look like?
So, well, thank you guys for hosting this event and inviting me to be a part of the panel. I really appreciate it and having these conversations. I think what's interesting, and I'm going to go slightly off script of what we've actually been talking about. I was having a really great conversation earlier today where we talked about AV/UC and how we kind of bring that within the traditional IT environment, right? And I think you kind of speak to this of there's a lot of transformation that is coming. And how do we look at that? And I think one of the things that I'm now starting to have a perspective on managing different parts of the IT business is I actually think that traditional IT may go away, and that when we think about VC and we think about AV, it's not just about the technology that's in the room, right? It's not just about that. It's your overall experience with that equipment. And I know we talked about this previously of it's not just the technology that's in the room, but it's also how the room is built and what, the FF&E and the different things that are in there. And I think that traditional IT going, you're moving more towards the overall experience that you have with technology is actually going to be a better use case for our end users, right? How do you experience the technology? How do you work with it? Whether it's the AI overlays or whether it's the data that's in it, some of the technology that's coming out with our different partners. How do you experience it? How do you work with it? And how does it support the work that you're doing? And I really kind of think that that's where that next iteration is going. And it's less so about, oh, well, this is a Cisco room or it's a Microsoft room or things like that. It's more about how does that end user work with that equipment and not really care about the equipment, but it's what is that overall experience that it drives for that end user to enable them to do their work. Sorry, I know that's
Instead of jumping back and forth in front of everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Scotty? Would you like to-
And to add to that, my actual team has been for the past few years, our name is Room Technology, but Room Technology and Collaboration Experience. But seeing that change, it's now campus technology. It's not just a room. It is the whole experience on our campus, and so we actually now fall under our enterprise digital campus teams for under real estate. So it's just to add to that. It's a lot bigger change coming, not just the rooms and all that experience that comes with it.
So I'm going to go off script for just a second. Speaking of campus,
Sorry.
follow Kelly's lead. So across campuses globally, because you have, what did you say, 7,700?
Oh,
Something like
yes,
something
rooms,
crazy like that?
yes.
Yeah, exactly. How do you standardize on all those rooms, and how do you ensure that those standards actually stay in place for end user?
Yeah, everybody,
Somebody else can answer that, right?
yeah, this has been brought up in discussions. Yes, so 7,700 rooms that are video enabled, so other rooms that aren't tech in them, but that's how many we have globally, about 55 to 6,000 in the US alone. We have Poly HPs, we have Cisco's, we've got Crestron's, we've got Neats. I mean, yeah, so if you say we got standard hardware, it's not a standard, but we have a standard for the design. So that is what we hand over, and of course, as large as we are, we use Forte, we use Diversified, we used CTI. We've got so many different integrators that we go through different areas of our campuses across the globe. So that it's been a big struggle and something we have to keep reevaluating when we have designers on our team, AV designers, and build out and then hand those guys, those teams. Here's our standards, and then we go back and walking through later and coming across that, and we have to reevaluate. There's not been an answer yet for that we've simple straight answer that we've come across for that. As you all know, by the way, the response that you guys had when she asked that question. But it has been, we have noticed a little better experience lately with our new campus that we just opened up this past year, working in, and we had different zones, working with a different integrator in every neighborhood zone that we had for our campus. And it did go better this time. We had a lot better, we had meetings up front a lot more often and going over those standards. So that's just what we've noticed, having to collaborate and meet more and more, unfortunately. Anything?
All right. Well, experience needs to be developed and thought of from the inception. It's not something that you can do after the fact, right? I think 7,700, that's ouch. Sorry. That sounds painful. Poly, Cisco, man, I don't know how you sleep at night. But really standardizing on it, right, and having those connections and the partnership from the beginning when you're building out, when you're designing, is critical, right? And thinking of the experience not just from like, oh, a project deliverable and like your FDOB. It's all right, so from the inception, we're developing the process, the standards, what's the operating, what's your uptime, what are your metrics, what are your KPIs, and then looking at it as like a product life cycle versus just, all right, the product is or the solution's delivered, now we're off to the next project. No, there's a product life cycle. Like, how are you going to continue to keep those rooms up? How are you going to keep them monitored and the uptime of those rooms? Also gauging the experience, building the rooms, purpose-built rooms, right? A training room is a training room. Yes, you can use it for your event, but it's not an event room, right? It is a training room. Your classroom style, your event, your auditoriums, right? They're all built with a purpose and with an intent. And so you need to be very intentful in how you develop and look at your landscape and standardize on that, and then also partner with your workplace, your real estate teams to develop those standards in partnership, so that way they don't put a room with lighting that's horrible for a stage.
Or a glass box.
Right? But that's really, and then to be that guy, adding security layer on top of that, making sure everything that you develop is secure. But yeah, that's really the crux of it for.
We sleep at night because we have a product, and no matter what vendor is in those rooms, or product vendor, it's monitored, and we know which ones are online.
Well done.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Well done.
Nice. That was the sales and the marketing.
As they say, follow that. We did a lot of the surveys we've got. The big focus from an end user perspective is standardization, scalability, simplicity, and user experience. And what we're seeing is a big focus on what the platforms deliver, because a lot of the IP is now moving to platforms. So it really doesn't matter if you have Poly, if you have Crestron, if you have whatever that team's brand is. The actual experience is the same. And what's really fascinating is we're getting a lot of feedback. Companies are now, I don't know if you're seeing this, but companies are now, because of COVID and hybrid work, they're saying we need less square feet, but we're going to have those square feet in better locations that are more expensive. So they're looking at two measures. What's the price per square foot of the location? And what's the experience per square foot we're delivering? And that's a fundamental change, and the experience has been delivered through technology. So absolutely right. I mean, you said it. I mean, that technology side, and what's the experience it can deliver, and how can you ensure that you're actually getting true ROI and value from the experience. Not the old days. I remember we just used to put technology out there and it's done. This is, does it deliver? You know, and I think you're doing some great things in finding out how it does deliver.
So speaking of experience, where are organizations struggling the most when trying to define or measure experience in AVUC?
I'll take that.
There you go.
There must be a better way of doing this.
I think one of the biggest challenges, and it kind of alludes to my answer the first time, is what are the things that are impacting their experience? Is it the join to meeting? Is it the proximity you join? Is it the camera isn't tracking you properly? Is it the environment and the lighting in the room, right? And so I think that VC, AV, whatever you want to call it, is so intertwined with the environment you're physically sitting in that it makes it incredibly difficult to figure out where is the pain point, where is the problem that they're having. And we all probably experience this. End users aren't going to tell you that there is an issue in a room unless something is very broken, or you hear it. Water cooler talk, I think, is like an old way of saying it, but like they're you know, you're not going to hear about it until someone yells at you or until there is a real significant problem. So that regular iterative day-to-day capturing of end user feedback is incredibly difficult to try and parse through and understand, okay, what actually matters? What is I taught my team this and I regret it every day. It's picnic, problem in chair, not in computer. And it's, you know, where are the issues that are end users that aren't understanding how to use the technology versus there's an actual problem with the technology and the complexity of video conferencing, whether it's just a standard room that gets deployed or an incredibly complex auditorium, trying to figure out where the root cause of the problem is very challenging when it is a complex, multi-connected system. And I think for me, at AZ, that's the biggest pain point, is actually figuring out where the problem is, and is it the technology or is it the person?
Do you think we're going to see more, from an AI perspective, being able to like work that one out without having people to work it out?
So I have a very pessimistic view of AI. And it is, what is the data telling us, and can it actually give us real information? The running joke I have is when my boss tells me to use Copilot or Cowork to anything that involves maths, I'm like, can't count. So I think for me, it's what is the data that it's actually ingesting into the system, and not to be a brown noser as well, but I think that utology, right, of giving us that baseline of what is the data telling us and what is the information that it's actually providing us. I think it's a step in the right direction, but I don't have full confidence in it being able to tell us what the user experience is.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anybody else want to take that one?
I had something, and then my mind just went off, but yeah, maybe it'll come back to me.
All right, so this leads us actually into an AI question.
Oh, great. Don't
Yeah,
give it to
that'll
me.
be better.
Just stand next to Kelly.
Yeah.
AI-driven insights are often talked about in broad terms. What are the most practical, real-world use cases you're seeing today, and how are you thinking about the use of AI in AVCT?
I actually can take that, because then actually sparks what I was going to say a little bit ago. When you have experiences where the rooms are a little different setup, and I think you mentioned just a one-touch join experience.
Mm-hmm.
Long ago, that was a goal of ours. We wanted one-touch meeting was our campaign for that year. Get every room enabled for one-touch join. Users just weren't used to that in our environment. They were used to manually dialing meeting IDs over and over and over. And so getting that implemented was great. And now, then, when we do a new campus, we had, for certain reasons, we have lots of rooms that our real estate team only wants them to be walk-up, ad hoc bookable. They're not in exchange. So now we're having to go re-evaluate. Now we're back to that old way. If people are wanting to walk up to a room that's open, it's green, they book it. Now they gotta go in there and manually type the ID. That slows it down. And when you pull reports, you see, okay, this room looked like it dialed that same number 4 times in that first few minutes. And that's how we're trying to look at any of the experiences. Was it a bad experience because we saw the same numbers dialing over and over? But what Walmart implemented, I can't tell you where the name came from, but Code Puppy is a new AI tool that's internal to Walmart. It's using Claude and a bunch of software development tools, and it's integrated and working in with our infrastructure. And so it is software developing like crazy and getting stuff out the door and in the line. So we used that and developed a QR code that you actually scan on those touchpads. And it looks at your calendar and it's like, oh, okay, he's got a meeting right now. That's the calendar. I'm just sending that room. Booked. Graph API sends it in seconds. You got the one-touch join on there. Now, room wasn't an exchange, but it does have a calendar that's just not made public. So we have made a way around it using those AI tools. And I think, and I'm not a software developer, but those types of things, capabilities, we have seen. And so we're seeing a lot of changes in our AV that we would have not used. We would have not thought software development would be used in that type of environment before until now. And those AI tools we are seeing a lot in pulling in dashboards and room metrics and things like that.
I'll take it. For us, I think we really measure it on like productivity. So we had a huge initiative to really understand what the ROI is for AI, and then just in general, just broadly around our collaboration tools, our productivity tools. How are we giving back time to our users? Like, how quickly does it take them to start a meeting? How, do they need to spend extra time with meeting notes and preparation and all that stuff? So we're taking a number of different data points and pulling that in together to see what's the true value of AI, right? To get an understanding of like, how are these AI tools actually helping the business be more productive? I think that's the starting point there. And then to your point, AI is only as good as what you tell it and how you build it, right? You can't just throw numbers at it, right? We were having a conversation earlier, people just throwing CSV files in AI and thinking, okay, I just want to just aggregate and, spit out this data. Why not have it build a script to where it automates, right? That's the way you should be looking at it, a layer above, a level above the general usage of it, so.
I mean, I'll always talk about AI. Okay, so one use case that I think I spoke about in one of our pre-meetings that I actually could see. So when I first started at AZ, there was this vision that they had where they would create this methodology by which, oh, the room is down. So now not only does a system, magical system, tell you that the room is down, but it also rebooks a new room for you, right? There is that use case, right? How frustrated are you when you walk into a conference room and now it's down for your meeting? And not only is it down for your meeting, but you don't know where else to go to be able to find that meeting room. And so that I see as an agentic use case for sure, right? You put an agent on top of that and you say, hey, if this room is down, if we're seeing an error, we can't self-heal it. Okay, we're gonna actually send an email to every single person that has a room reservation that day and say, hey, I'm so sorry, but your room is not down today. Then the next step of that is, hey, we're gonna suggest other rooms for you that are of similar size and similar capability, and we're gonna suggest that for you to rebook. And then the next step is, oh, we're not even gonna ask you anymore. We're gonna tell you that it's down, and we're gonna find a new room for you, and we're gonna rebook it. That was a vision that the team had before I even started working at AZ, and I can see that use case, but you gotta have a system that tells you that the room is broken, that it's not gonna work and it can't heal itself. So that's something that I actually see from an agentic perspective, being able to not only tell you that something is wrong, but then actually proactively find you a new space, find you a new room. That's something that I could see being an incredibly valuable use case for the environment.
Gary.
Question for you.
Oh, gosh.
So instead of sending all those emails that the room's not available, how about, hey, somebody go into the room and fix it if it can't self-heal?
So,
First,
oh, okay, sorry.
And then your room's not available.
Yeah, so what's interesting, and I don't know if you guys have the same problem, so AstraZeneca is in 92 countries, 140 sites, and we have on-site VC services in 6 of those sites. So for us, if we can't self-heal it, I don't know when anybody will actually be able to get in there to actually fix the problem. So for us, it is more important to notify the end user that something is wrong when we can't self-heal. And to your point, maybe it's not an email, maybe it's a Teams message, I'm not sure what, but that's that baseline. But for us, in looking at our on-site headcount, that we have, I can't add more VC technicians to the site. So for me, being able to at least tell them and make them aware that it's a problem, if I can't fix it before their meeting starts, that at least gives them the information and lets them know, so I get yelled at less. That's my goal, is to get yelled at less.
Don't yell at Kelly, she's awesome.
Kelly, I like what
Oh
you
gosh.
I like what you were talking about there, that situation. But I've learned over the years, end users are all not the same.
Very fair.
So in my world, what you was talking about, how AI could be that great. But in my world, you can't move, say, my sector president to another room. They want that one. Well, the room's not working. We got something that so you can do. We want that one.
Fair.
And we want it fixed now.
So they want it fixed right now.
Yeah.
So we go through a lot of that a lot of times, and then the end user who want to manually unplug things, and then they call you after now it's so messed up. The meeting's gonna start in 2 minutes. But I want this room working right now. So how? I just want to run that one by.
Oh, how do I fix that?
Traumatized.
You want that?
Wait, are you gonna fix that for me?
No, I'm not gonna fix it for you.
Okay.
He sound passionate. I think you might want to take that one. Let's see how you do. Let's come on.
So, oh god.
Well,
Let's see.
I can add to it as well.
So we all have that challenge and we all have that problem. I actually was my former company, whose name I won't say, but I walked into a board meeting where they were having audio issues, and the person that was on the call, they couldn't hear him, and I walk in, the CEO is taking cables out of the room, and I almost yelled at him, and that would have been a career updating event, or a resume updating event. And then we found out that the person that was speaking was in a parking garage, and that's why he didn't have self-reception and nobody could hear him. So I don't think there is a scenario that can fix that problem in that moment. I think that there is a model by which, well, the postmortem, right, the after action, what actually led to the problem? Was it an actual system failure? Was it a picnic? Was it pieces of equipment that weren't working and weren't supporting the room? So I don't think that any of us, unless anybody wants to give their 2 cents on this, there isn't a moment where the chaos of that situation can fix it exactly in that situation and get them what they need. We can pull all the stops out, but if your piece of hardware has failed, and it's a Cisco, if it's a Lenovo, right, and you don't have on-site spares, you're not going to get out of that moment. But I think there's an opportunity to take that after action and take that data and take the why behind it and have a really good process of understanding why it failed and what caused that failure. That'll be what fixes it next time. It's not going to prevent me from getting yelled at or you from getting yelled at in that moment, but that's what's going to drive that continuous improvement so that it doesn't happen again. But if anybody has any great ideas.
You can take that one step further, right? So if you're looking at AI and what the AI is going to bring in this space in the future, right, is going to be taking the data and all the information that we have, tribal knowledge, right, and being able to present that in real time to our sublet, support teams, right? So you have dedicated, but then undedicated, right?
Yep.
You have, if you want to subcontract with the desktop support team, but it's taking that data that we have in knowledge in our head and then presenting that. So what are we doing? We're trying to build upon. So we take information from Utelligy, if you would. We're not using Utelligy yet. We'll get to that. But we'll take information from Utelligy by midnight tonight. And then we'll tie that to knowledge articles, right? But then those knowledge articles with AI, I can then present that to an agent. So the agent took a ticket, they picked it up. We can now tie that to, let's say that they're using Slack or Zoom or Microsoft Teams. It's one flavor or the other, and then present them with solutions. So I don't need to be on the phone anymore presenting them solutions that are repeated solutions. Did you check this? Did you check that? Did you check this? They can interact in real time
with it, so long as you're tying it back to an LLM or whatever in real time, and say, well, I'm in said room, the camera is down, or it's not presenting a presentation on screen left, right, and then it can interact with them in real time with, have you checked the cable? How to check the cable? You know, make sure the cable path is clear, maybe, you know, this or that. So that's where AI is going, right? So that's where tying something like a Utology and this team here, these, you know, everybody sitting at these tables, and that's where the power of AI is going to come. It's going to reduce the overhead to us on these
Potentially.
nonsense
Yeah.
calls that
You're
we
going to see some pretty powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
predictive. And you know, people say, I always ask, well, what's your moat? What's your moat? We have 20 years of data, anonymized, billions of terabytes of data. So Jim and his team have been training so that we can learn. We're not releasing it yet. I'm going to get my ass handed to me if you mention it. So it stays in this room, but it's coming. It's coming. And
It's a natural
that's
progression.
going to help with that specific scenario.
Yeah.
1000%.
It's not going to be a panacea. It's not going to be a guarantee, but it's going to help.
He's got a question I want to
Yeah.
add it too,
Yeah.
because we've looked at, I mean, that same situation that Kelly said with, I mean, how do you do self-heal when the device just lost power?
Yeah.
Or
Or the
the
network.
port just went down. And,
Somebody did a change.
and so we really looked really hard at, do we put middleware like IoTs in between these
Yeah.
that can do a power switch or a port bounce or
PDU.
something that's got like a maintenance service connection into your device to
Yeah.
do some sort of, but you know, that just wasn't worth the money, but maybe boardrooms it would have, but now we can really integrate it.
We're going to do one, that's the owner and the chef, and he's wandering because he's prepared food for 70. We're going to take one more question, and I don't want to piss off an Italian chef. One more question.
So this one's a little bit different than what we've already talked about. It's more about room utilization. So how important are you finding room utilization reports? Because we've got like our space management people who obviously want to know if something's being utilized, underutilized, overutilized. They're trying to figure out whether they should use it for space for like more offices, or if they should expand it to make it a bigger thing. And then also like with you companies like Utology and everything else, what are you utilizing from them from a reporting standpoint? What do you wish they would give you to be able to provide the
So many
reporting a
things.
little better?
I am not shy. I will talk. So before I decided to make the jump into IT, I worked in facilities. I know. I think that the most important part about providing information back to the facilities team and back to your real estate team is, why are they using it? What do they actually want to do with it? And are they using it to inform decision making on new expansions? And we've been dialing this in with our real estate team of, okay, is this actually making a difference in how much square footage, square meters that you're actually purchasing and leasing in the spaces? I think there is 1000% a use case of how many people are using rooms and whether or not they're effectively being used, only if your real estate team is taking those decision points and using that to then invest and change their real estate strategy. Because you could have all of the data in the world, and if they're not using it, then it's completely useless. For me, I want to minimize the number of pieces of hardware that I have to put into a room. And so when I look at Utology and being able to look at utilization, I want to be looking at solutions and OEMs that actually give me that native functionality and not have to make me put another sensor in the room. I want to get it out of the cameras. I want to be able to get it out of the touch panels or the navigator or whatever you put in your space. And if I can natively get that out of my technology, then great, have all the data you want. But if you're actually asking me to spend more money to put sensors or other hardware in the room, give me your use case and help me understand why you actually want it, and then maybe I'll consider it as part of our standards. But there is a prevalence in, oh my gosh, we need all the data and this is the most important thing ever, but then they're not actually doing anything with it, then why am I giving you and why am I spending the money on it? So I think that's probably a less spicy version to have with your facilities and real estate team. But if they're using the data, it's a 1000% worth the spend on it.
So like in our case, they are actually like removing rooms and adding like space for people, person, and everything else?
If they're making real estate decisions and interior decisions based on the data that you're giving, that is worth the investment in the technology, not only in what you decide to put in your standards, whether it's from cameras or the touch panel on the room or Utelogy to be able to give you that data. That is 1,000% worth the investment in my perspective if they're actually using it in a smart way.
There's over 10,000 Utelogy rooms up here, and there's another 30 to 40,000 out here. For those of you that aren't customers, and those of you that are customers, this is for you guys.